Hi, this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. In this video, I'm going to continue working on Nancy Rebecca Harman. In the previous videos, I cleaned up Nancy's profile on FamilySearch, merged her with a duplicate. Then I did some record analysis to see if I could sort out the children on the family group list. And the oldest child that we're going to look at today is this Martha Rebecca Corley. And we're going to do a research with me and see if we can figure out who Martha Rebecca Corley is. So we'll just go forward here and start looking at her profiles on FamilySearch and Ancestry. So on FamilySearch, she only has two sources. We have the 1880 census and the 1900 census. The 1880 census is the one that shows her with Nancy and Martin. And it shows her as a child in Edgefield County, South Carolina. The 1900 census shows her as a child of Martin and Sally Corley. It does say that she's born in Georgia, which is a little bit different. The family is living in Dale County, Alabama. And there are several children in the family, all of them say born in Georgia. There's a little bit of confusion here. It's possible these are all her siblings or step-siblings with different mothers. It's hard to say for sure. So I don't know 100% if this 1900 census matches. For the moment, we'll just accept it. I've looked at it and it's confusing. I think some of the birth years are wrong on some of the children, and so hard to say for sure what's going on there. So I actually feel like I should start in Ancestry because it's a clean profile. There hasn't been a lot of things mixed up, and so that's where I'm going to go. We'll make this bigger. All right, so we've got a couple of pictures here for a Rebecca Martha Corley. Now Martha, the name Martha, is a suggestion that it could refer to Martha Langford, who would be her grandmother. And that helps link Rebecca to Nancy, then to Martha Langford. If those connections are correct, it seems like they would be, because it's very common to name the oldest children or some children in the family after grandparents. So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on that. And these pictures look really cool. We can take a look at them. Yeah, so that's her. This is probably her as a younger woman. And this looks like, well, it's labeled as her husband, Charlie Beasely, if these record hints are correct. Okay, so then we have the 1900 census again. We've got a death record index for Martha R. Beasely. We have a community tree record hint. I usually ignore these because they don't usually have a lot of evidence attached to the trees. And then we've got this 1940 census. Let's look at that for a second here. Rebecca Beasely, widowed with John Corley, Louise Corley, probably, and then a Rebecca Beasely. So let's see. Oh, she's living with her brother, John L. Corley. Let's look at that. Yeah, that probably is an O and not an A. Although it's, yeah, that's Rosencrantz up here. Halton. It's very hard to tell the difference between an O and an A with this person. Okay, so 65 years old, John Corley, born in South Carolina. So that's good. That does connect her back to South Carolina. All right, so I'm going to accept that Rebecca Martha married a Beasely. So I'm going to go ahead and accept some of these record hints and start attaching these records. And I don't have any record hints that necessarily name her husband except the photo hint. So I'm gonna add him as a spouse on Ancestry and see if it gives me some additional record hints that will help me learn a bit more here. So here's her picture. So I'm gonna add it. This picture is for her husband, so I'm going to ignore it for right now and then add this other one. Okay. So this 1940 census looks really good. We're going to add that. And I think I am going to add that middle name, Martha. Okay, we'll save to the tree. This 1900 census, I don't know, I find it difficult. I think whoever reported the information in the 1900 census didn't get things quite right. But it does seem to suggest that Martin Corley remarried to Sally Scarborough. And at least those two marriages for Martin are probably legit. But I think there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done to confirm it. I'm going to say yes for right now, although I'm uncomfortable with it, only because there's conflicting data. That's it. All right, so let's go back and compare what we have. Okay, this says January 1871, and that's based off of the 1900 census. And then we've got her death year. Okay, I have the Georgia death index, so I'm going to go ahead and update this on FamilySearch. All right, so perhaps we will get a few more record hints pop up here. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this Charles Beasely and see if I can't generate some record hints with him. I'm going to guess that he probably died in Georgia. The family, she's living with her brother in Georgia. I don't have any other information, so let's do a search on Ancestry. I'm going to keep looking through these records and see if I can't find anything. I may do a little bit of digging and then I'll come back and update what I find on Charles Beasely. Okay, so I found the 1930 census for Rebecca Corley. I decided to go back and see if I can't find more records for Rebecca. And it looks like she's listed as Becky Beasely. And she's widowed. So her husband has died before 1930. And she's living with her brother and his family at that time. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to her profile on Ancestry here. All right, so I'm still missing the 1910 census and the 1920 census. So we need to keep digging. So I'm going to keep looking and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, I think I found the 1910 census that shows Rebecca Beasely with Charles. So this shows Rebecca, age 34, in Thigpen, Colquitt, Georgia, with Charles, Rebecca, and then there's Sarah and a Robert Singletary. So let's go and look at this actual census record here. All right. Here's Charles S. Beasely. So it's good that we found an initial. We've got an approximate birth year now. Then it says Rebecca, wife, age 34, first marriage. They've been married about 8 years, so this is good. We've got an approximate marriage year. Mother of no children, so she may not have had any children. Her mother-in-law would be Sarah, and then they've got a border, and it does say Sarah. It does say Rebecca, born in South Carolina. Her father, born in South Carolina. Her mother. So that's good. That does bring a good match. So we're going to go ahead and add this to her and add the information for her husband. So this is good. The birth year is a little bit off, but I'm not too concerned about that. So we'll add Charles S. Beasely with some birth information. So that may help us get some more record hints for him. Okay, awesome. So I'm still missing the 1920 census. So it would be good to see if we can try to find that. Let's jump over to Charles and see if we don't get some more. Okay, we've got one record hint. Let's see. Here's the 1900 census. Now we know his mother's name is Sarah. He may or may not be living with them. Okay, he's a boarder. Mother's birthplace. Okay. So he's living with another family if this is him, which it probably is. But it says C.H. Beasely. Let's look at that. He'd be... Okay. Here we go. W.R. Beasely with a Mary. Married 18 years. 4 children. Here's... Oh, that's... Bunkley. Okay. C.H. Beasely, September 1870, age 29, born in Georgia. He's a lawyer. Okay, let's go back because that may not be a match. That one says he's a lawyer. Go back. We have the 1910 census. Says he's a farmer. So that might not be a match. We're going to hold off on adding that. Oh, this family, this Martin Corley family has definitely been difficult. And it's always hard when families move a lot because you're just not sure. And you have to look at relationships and all kinds of things. And that has been very difficult with this family and with the blended family. And okay, in 1900, she's in Dale, Alabama. In 1910, she's in Colquitt, Georgia. 1930, Colquitt, Georgia. So I would expect her to be in Colquitt, Georgia in 1920. So I'm actually going to open a new tab in Family Search, and we're going to search some records. All right, so we're going to actually search the 1920 census. So we'll come down here to find a collection, and we'll say 1920 United States Census. There we go. And I want to look for an R. Beasely, born about 1871 in South Carolina. Let's see. We can add some other parameters. All right. Let's try. Oh, there's only 5 results. All right, so let's change this to Beasely. And we'll clear out the birth information and we'll put residence, Colquitt, Georgia. All right, so 22 Beasleys in Colquitt, Georgia in 1922. So let's look. Okay, there is not a Beasely in Colquitt, Georgia in 1922. Okay, so we know Charles Beasely, and he is born, according to Ancestry, 1871 in Georgia. So let's put a birth range. Okay. All right. We've got a Charlie Beasely in Troop, Georgia. One in Fayette, Georgia, but he's got a spouse named Leola. This Charlie Beasely in 1920. Let's look at that. Probably not our guy. So let's keep looking. All right, so I looked through the results here of my last search of the 1920 census, and I'm not finding a good match. So it is a little bit of a mystery why we can't locate them in the 1920 census. All right, so we're struggling a little bit with trying to find good information. I am going to update Martha's name here, switch it around, and see if the algorithm on FamilySearch works a little bit better. Update the language to English, and we'll save. Okay, and like I said, the 1900 census is a little bit suspect as far as dates go for this particular family, but I'm going to add her husband that we know about, Charles S. Beasely, and he's most likely deceased. Okay, we're going to have to create him as a new person. All right, let's see if we get any new record hints generated here. We'll just kind of go forward and look at Charles here. Do a search. Okay, here's the 1910 census. Oh, here's a Georgia death index record and a find a grave record. For 1945. That's interesting. Does it have no image available? Okay, so there's a number of record hints for Charles Beasely on FamilySearch, but it's hard to know for sure because they're not quite the right locations. There is the 1910 census, I think. This one that we found before on Ancestry. So we'll go ahead and attach that here. Okay, so that adds at least one record for Charles on FamilySearch. Some of these other record hints are curious. They're in different locations in Georgia, and so it's hard to say if they actually connect to this person. And so I can't really do much to try to figure out if they're matched. So, this has been a tough family, I have to say. Okay, so we got one record hint there, one location. Let's go back to Martha. Now, it's possible that even though she says she was widowed in the later censuses, that she was actually separated or divorced. But it's hard to say. Okay, so we've been trying to find records for Rebecca and striking out a little bit. We found her husband. We found him in at least one record. On Ancestry, I've got a whole bunch of records here that I need to look for on FamilySearch and attach them to her. I'm going to update her profile on FamilySearch as much as I can, and we'll see if it generates any more record hints. If not, this might be the ending point of working on Rebecca. From what we can see, she didn't have any children with her husband, and so this is the stopping point. If I can find out anything more about her husband, I'll be sure and update that profile. But in the next video, we're going to try to look at the next sibling, which would be Callie Corley, and then we'll just see what happens from there. So I hope that was helpful. This has been a much more difficult family here. Usually working in Ancestry and Family Search at the same time, you can generate record hints in one or the other systems and put the families together. But this one has been a lot more challenging. There's been confusing information, conflicting dates, multiple relationships. And so we're just going to take it one step at a time and see how far we can go before we have to stop and just say, okay, this is as much as we can figure out. But anyway, until next time, we'll see you later. Hi, this is Esther coming back with an update. I know I just signed off on the video, but I was going through Family Search and looking for all of the census records that I had found on Ancestry and just duplicate attaching them to her profile in Family Search. And as I did that, I got a record hint, and it's considered a weaker hint. If you're not seeing these weaker hints, it's because you need to go into your preferences in your account and turn them on. These are hints that Family Search doesn't serve up right away. They aren't considered high quality. I have found that a majority of these weaker hints are a match, and they do help provide some information. And so I attached the census records. You can see here I've got these sources here, and I refreshed the page and this weaker hint came up. And guess what? It is the death record for her husband, Charlie S. Beasely. And it shows here that he was 67 years old with a birth year of 1860, which does conflict with the census record, but the relationships are what matters here for it to be a match. So we've got a father's name, a mother's name, a maiden name even, and then here's Rebecca Beasely mentioned as the spouse, and it also gives a location. And so this Turner County, Georgia is another place to look. Possibly there's a will or something there that we can look for to find more information and see if she was left anything in his estate. But here's the death record, and we'll just take a look at it. This is really exciting to be able to find more information when you think you can't find anything else because it's just been such a difficult family to work on. So here we go. Farmer, so that does match the census that he was a farmer. Says that he died of a cerebral hemorrhage, so a stroke, which is always tragic. We've got his birth location in Webster County, Georgia, his parents' names. His father looks like he was born in Alabama. His mother, we got his mother's birthplace. So this is great. I'm going to fill out the rest of his profile and attach him to his family. So I hope this just is an encouragement to just keep looking and keep working and using Family Search and Ancestry in parallel to help generate hints as you fill out their profiles. It really is a powerful tool to use them together. You can get you can make discoveries so much quicker. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned. We're going to keep discovering more about the Martin Harris and Corley and Nancy Rebecca Harman family. So we'll see you next time.